I'm Kate Klimo. Thank you for joining us today. As part of Cox Communications' commitment to education and civic engagement in Orange County, Cox 3 is hosting a series of forums featuring candidates in the upcoming June 3rd statewide primary election. The candidates with us today are running for the 74th Assembly District, currently held by Assemblymember Alan Mansour. The 74th Assembly District includes the cities of Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, Irvine, Laguna Beach, Laguna Woods, and Newport Beach. Please welcome our candidates, Karina Onofre, Keith Curry, Emmanuel Petrascu, Matthew Harper, and Anila Ali. So here's how the format will go. Each candidate will be given 1 minute to make an opening statement. I will then pose a series of questions, and each candidate will have 1 minute in which to respond. At the end of the questions, each candidate will have 1 minute to provide a closing statement. Beginning in the order they appear on the ballot, we'll start with the opening statement from Karina Onofre.
Hi, I'm Karina Onofre, candidate for State Assembly in the 74th District, representing the cities of Irvine, Costa Mesa, Laguna Beach, Laguna Woods, Newport Beach, and Huntington Beach. My campaign has been about 3 simple ideas: leadership, leadership, leadership. I'm an Orange County native. I'm proud of my hard work in creating the H&R Block franchise that I own. To this race and in Sacramento, I bring youth, energy, enterprise, and above all, new leadership for our residents who live, work, and go to school in the most beautiful, culturally diverse, and traditional part of Southern California. I promise to represent you in Sacramento. Unlike my opponents who trot out tired endorsements from unions, political parties, and old politicians, I, Karina Onofre, am the only candidate endorsed by you. Thank you. And I want to thank voters from every city, every political party, and every ethnic group who has reached out to me.
Thank you. The next opening statement comes from Keith Curry.
Hi, I'm Keith Curry. I've spent a lifetime working to make California a better place. I worked with Paul Gann to put a spending limitation in our state constitution. I worked with President Ronald Reagan in Washington to improve the entire nation and transportation. I was a partner and owner in a public finance consulting firm that grew to be the largest in the nation, employing more than 450 people. And I've been on mayor and city council on Newport Beach now for 8 years, working to make our city a better place to live and fiscally more strong. California has many problems. We need to make our state a more business-friendly place. We need to cut our taxes. We need to work to attract businesses so they don't go to Texas any longer. We need to work to improve our education system so we're preparing our students for the global economy and the ability to compete. And more than anything else, we need to protect Proposition 13 from those who would change it and who would make the tax on commercial property even higher, costing more than 340,000 California jobs. I'd like to ask for your vote on June 3rd. Thank you.
And the opening statement from Emmanuel Petrascu.
Hi, I'm Emmanuel Petrascu, and I'm a candidate for State Assembly in the 74th Assembly District. I'm running for Assembly because I want to make sure that my 2-year-old son has the same opportunity to live the American dream that I did when I came here 24 years ago with my family as political refugees. I'm going to fight to make sure that we save Prop 13. I'm sick and tired of politicians that claim they support Prop 13 but have voted for every tax and fee increase that's come before them. I will fight to make sure that we save our beach bonfires. I helped write the law to save our beach bonfires to make sure that my son and other fathers and kids, their grandkids, are able to enjoy traditional wood-burning bonfires. I will stop the high-speed rail boondoggle that's going to cost us billions of dollars and will never be paid for. And finally, we have to make sure we get our economy going again. I will fight to make sure that we roll back regulations and we get businesses coming back to California so that my son can find a job here in California and not have to move to Texas or Arizona. Thank you. I'm Emmanuel Petrascu, and I appreciate your vote.
And now we'll hear from Matthew Harper.
Hello, my name is Matthew Harper. I grew up here in Orange County. I'm the mayor of the city of Huntington Beach. Before I was in the Huntington Beach City Council, I was on the Huntington Beach Union High School District for 12 years and very much care about education for our next generation. I also sit on the Orange County Transportation Authority, coordinating to make sure that we have our transportation needs met for the coming decades. I attended USC with a degree in public policy and management, and I have the endorsement of Assemblyman Alan Mansour, who currently holds this seat. I'm a graduate of Huntington Beach High School, and I do ask for your vote for California State Assembly. You know what? I really care about our beach bonfires here in Orange County. And when the Newport Beach City Council decided that they were going to vote to remove the beach bonfires, I was right at the very forefront, indeed fighting the AQMD and others who wanted to take our wood-burning beach bonfires away from us. It's just ridiculous that this continues to be an issue because of the city of Newport Beach. Additionally, I have a solid record over the years on both the school board and the city council of opposing fees and tax increases as well. And so I ask for your vote.
And now the final statement from Anila Ali.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anila Ali, and I'm proud to be the only candidate endorsed by the California Democratic Party and the Democratic Party of Orange County. I'm also privileged to be endorsed by the many trade unions. I am a proud member of the Teachers Union. Trade unions have helped build America, and I will passionately advocate for them. As a mother of 2 young adults who were raised in Irvine and had the privilege to receive outstanding education from the schools, the community colleges, and the public universities, I understand the needs of the young people, the working families and seniors. I am a public school teacher. I work in the trenches, and I know that education is access to prosperity. My decision to run for assembly came after years of frustration at the lack of representation that we've had in our district. I was tired of people who got elected and then just served their own special interests. Democracy is a partnership between people and its government. As an elected official, you have to know your district, and you have to know the families, and you have to know the seniors and advocate for them. I am your candidate. Please vote for me on June 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now begin the question and answer portion of the forum, and I'd like to remind each candidate you have just 1 minute to respond to the questions posed. Our first question. Orange County is a donor county, and every election there is a pledge made by candidates to ensure that Orange County gets its fair share of tax revenue. What would you do specifically to change the funding formulas? We'll start with Mr. Curry.
Well, Kate, one of the things we need to do is look at schools, particularly because Irvine, when the formula was developed, Irvine had very few students, but now it's one of the largest districts in the state. The funding formula disadvantages students in Irvine. So the funding formula for schools is the first thing that we need to attack. We do. We're 58th in receiving money back from Sacramento. So what we need to have is an Orange County delegation that can reach across the aisle with Democrats, like I've been able to do throughout my political career, to build coalitions so those formulas can be adjusted to take into account the population growth that's occurred in Orange County, the needs that exist in Orange County. We've got to be able to bring more of our money back to our own district. That's why I'm a strong supporter of local control. The state has messed up group homes, they've messed up massage parlors, they're messing up bonfires and beach fires. We've got to give local control and authority and funding back to the cities so they can make those decisions for themselves, accountable to the voters for how they spend the money.
Thank you. Mr. Petrascu.
It is important that we work together. This isn't the issue that only impacts Republicans or Democrats. It impacts everyone, Republicans and Democrats. We need to work together with Republicans and Democrats working across the aisle to make sure that Orange County gets the money that it deserves for schools. Education is important, and we have to make sure that we have full funding for education. We also need to make sure that we bring the funding to the local level and allow the locals to have control of that funding. They are more efficient in using that funding to get the best results. If we allow the locals to control the funding, they will be able to use the money in the most efficient way and be able to, even if they have less money, be able to get better results. We need to make sure we fight for local control and work with Democrats to make sure that we get the money that Orange County deserves. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Harper.
I agree that the local funding formula is a major problem in this state. And you know what? Sometimes legislation isn't the only answer. Really, it's an issue of equal protection under the law. And we need to make sure that we stand up for ourselves here in Orange County. And sometimes the courts actually might be the solution to be able to get things done. But I'll tell you one thing. Very often we hear about Democrats saying that Democrats can somehow get us more of a fair share. Well, I'll tell you what, the Democrats have let us down. Whether it's Jose Solari or others, they voted to let our funding go away. In fact, they lost over $50 million a year for the County of Orange. And so I'll tell you what, one of the issues is we need to make sure to defeat Democrats so that we can have more money returned here in Orange County.
Thank you. Ms. Ali.
If you want your tax dollars to go to Los Angeles and San Francisco, then vote for my opponents. But if you want tax dollars to come back to your district, to your schools, to your seniors, to your infrastructure, then vote for me. I am the Democrat. I am endorsed by the party. And yes, I will have a seat at the table so that I can bring money back for our schools. I've worked really hard in the city of Irvine. I was on the board of the Irvine Public School Foundation. I raised money for the community colleges. I also raise money for many other needs in our community. So I know what it's like to be a donor district. We are a donor district. We only get 6 cents back, but if you choose my opponents, it's going to be hard. It's very easy for a Democrat to bring back money for educational bonds, for park bonds. Just look at Santa Ana. They have a Democratic representative, and they've got lots of money for their infrastructure, parks, and schools. That's what I want to do for our district. Bring the money back. Even for the water initiatives, I can actually bring money back for the district.
For the benefit of our viewing audience, I'm going to repeat the question. Orange County is a donor county, and every election there's a pledge made by candidates to ensure that Orange County gets its fair share of tax revenue. So we're asking our candidates, what would you do specifically to change the funding formulas? And our last answer is with Ms. Onofre.
Thank you. And I believe education is very important. Education transforms lives. It transformed my life, getting a double degree in economics and political science with a minor in Spanish. So I believe that always putting education first is important so that we can help the next generation of leaders in this country. And I agree with Keith Curry that I think that we have to fix the way that we apportion the funding for education so that Orange County can attain more of the education funds that are required, especially now that Orange County has grown so much. But definitely education is very important. It's something that we always have to put first because it changes lives, it opens doors to success, and it's the way to make sure that you transform your life, that you're successful, and that you're able to give back to the community and help those that also need to be helped and informed with either a vocational training or a 4-year degree. But it's always important to focus on education, and District 74 has one of the best school districts in the entire county. So I'm very proud to say that, and I definitely support anything that will help our school district.
Great. Thank you very much. Move on to the next question. Orange County as a whole is generally known for its political conservatism and is therefore not always seen as a power player in Sacramento. How will you make Orange County effective and influential in the capital with a Democrat majority? And for this, we'll start with Mr. Petrascu.
Well, first, I think it is important to note that there are only 25 Republicans out of 80 in the state assembly. However, we need to get more Republicans elected. I have the experience in getting more Republicans elected. As the president of the Orange County Young Republicans, I've helped get many Republicans elected in very Democrat districts. But we need to work together as Republicans to get more Republicans elected. And then we also need to work with our fellow Democrats in the state assembly. I also have experience working across the aisle. I worked across the aisle many times, including on the bill to save the beach bonfires. That was a bill that got unanimous support in the state assembly from Republicans and Democrats that came together to save our beach bonfires. So it requires us to get more Republicans elected, but also requires us to take a step forward by working with our with fellow Democrats. Thank you.
Mr. Harper.
I absolutely think the way for Orange County to pave the road to the future is to elect more Republicans throughout this state. The only way we're going to elect more Republicans throughout this state, the first thing we have to do is actually abide by our own principles. We need to make sure that we oppose taxes like we say we will. And I have a 15 and actually 16-year record now in terms of fighting taxes. In fact, I've been able to fight whether it's been increased property taxes or other taxes that were on the ballot. I've always been there in terms of being able to fight it. I've also been there to fight for those folks who want to convert our freeway lanes into toll lanes. And that's an issue that's very much in the forefront right here, because there's some folks who want to not only add tolls onto our freeways, but they even want to add a drive-by mile tax. And that's an issue that differentiates the candidates in this election. And my record is solid. I'll be a Republican that you can be proud of to represent you within this district, and work to elect Republicans in other districts, because that's what it takes over time to win the state of California back. And if we don't have someone who's committed to doing that, then we're writing off our future, but we can build for the future.
And now we'll hear from Ms. Ali.
I'm a proud American, and yes, I'm a proud Democrat. I'm happy to say that we have a Democratic majority, and that's not changing. So if you elect me, definitely it'll be much easier for me to work with people on my side. But here's the thing, I have worked with people on the other side, independents, I've worked with the Republicans, I've also worked with the White House, I've worked locally, I've worked nationally, I've worked with Sacramento, I've been on many nonprofits where I've met Republicans and Democrats and work together with them. So I think the job will be much easier if you elect a Democrat and you look beyond party lines and you say, this is a teacher we can trust. This is somebody who believes in education. This is somebody who believes California needs to step right into the 21st century and bring back the creativity. We invented the internet, and we also invented Apple iPhones. So yes, if you elect me, definitely it'll be much easier for me to do what I have set out to do for the district. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to repeat the question just for everyone's benefit, candidates and the viewers. So Orange County as a whole is generally known for its political conservatism and is therefore not always seen as a power player in the Democrat-controlled legislature. How will you help make Orange County effective and influential in Sacramento with a Democrat majority? Ms. Onofre.
Thank you. You know, being born and raised in Santa Ana, native of Orange County, Latina, Christian, and very traditional and conservative, I know that as a Democrat, I will be able to cross party lines and engage with both sides of the aisle, because I can identify with both parties. And I have friends on both sides of the aisle. And I believe that working together is how we will get things done. And being a Democrat, being part of the majority, will allow me to it'll facilitate the path to pass legislation that is necessary to represent you in the 74th Assembly District. So I need your support, I need your vote on June 3rd so that I can win. And I promise to represent you and your interests in the 74th Assembly District. And also the fact that I'm a small business owner. I have all small businesses' best interest in mind, cutting corporate taxes as a proposal so that we can grow our businesses, employ more people, and grow the economy in the state. I have a lot of ideas, and as a small business owner, I know that we can get a lot of things done if you elect me, Karina Onofre, to represent you. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Mr. Curry.
Well, legislators, whether they're Republican or Democrat, will be successful when they offer ideas that address the real needs of our people, like job creation, improving education, lowering taxes, and making this a better place to do business. I'm out of the tradition of Ronald Reagan and George Deukmejian, Republican leaders who could work across the aisle and build coalitions and make compromises to get things done. As a financial advisor to state and local governments, Democrats and Republicans, for 24 years, no one asked the ideology of my advice, just was it effective and did it get the job done? But I believe Republicans, who are now falling to 28% registration, have got to do a better job of expanding the party. It's time to quit kicking people out. You know, the thing about, I can say this because I'm a lifetime Republican, you put 3 Republicans in a room and sometimes 2 of them will put up a red velvet rope and create a VIP section. We've got to get away from that. We've got to make our party relevant and responsive to all of the people of California with real solutions that will solve real problems for real people, and not these sideshow issues that my opponents want to talk about.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. What infrastructure projects would you champion for the state, and what approach would you take to achieve success? And for this, we'll start with Mr. Harper.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. The question is, what infrastructure projects would you champion for the state, and what approach would you take to achieve success?
Well, I'll tell you what, the way to achieve success in terms of our infrastructure projects is to reform our CEQA process. The California Environmental Quality Act is really what's holding back our infrastructure. And that's not just our public infrastructure, but it's our private infrastructure as well. Additionally, reforming CEQA will also help us to be able to build business within the state of California. Infrastructure projects that I think are absolutely critical include water. With our drought, it just highlights more than ever what a problem we have with having enough water to be able to drink and being able to utilize and being able to use to grow our crops here in the state of California. That includes storage, that also includes our aqueducts, but more importantly, I think we also need to be able to utilize desalination. Additionally, I think it's important that we improve our transportation. So as a member of the Orange County Transportation Authority, I think it's incredibly important that we're able to improve our systems to get people around. I think our solid waste disposal is another key area of infrastructure for us to be able to improve, and I really think that's a top priority for the state of California.
Thank you. Ms. Ali.
As I've been crisscrossing across my district, the number one issue that I've heard about from young people, young adults, children, families, and seniors, what are we doing for our schools? So definitely, as a Democrat, I'm going to bring money back for our schools. Yes, the local funding formula is good for some cities. It's not good for Irvine and Newport Beach. So we definitely need to fight for that money, bring it back, rebuild some of the schools that need rebuilding. Also, we can bring money back in the form of bonds for parks. We can also bring money back for transportation. Water initiatives, lots and lots of money up in Sacramento for that. Then senior housing, building affordable housing in our cities. There's a lot of homelessness. I went to Laguna Beach and I found, to my surprise, that's one of the biggest needs. And I pledged to do that, build homes for the homeless. Also, education seems to be the number one issue, and a lot of people want us to bring more money for counselors. Kids have asked me for it. Seniors have asked me for it. We need to increase the faculty in community colleges and make them full-time. So there's a lot of things that I would like to bring that money back for our district for.
Thank you. And as a refresher, let me repeat the question. What we're asking is, what infrastructure projects would you champion for the state, and what approach would you take to achieve that success? Ms. Onofre.
Thank you. I believe there's a lot of need when it comes to the creation of jobs, and not just any jobs, but high tech, high education, high knowledge jobs. And this is what I pledge to do. I pledge to create more jobs in the district to stimulate the economy, and that's why I proposed the idea of bringing the Clippers of LA to Orange County. This will create more jobs, stimulate the local economy, and enhance our quality of life because it'll just stimulate the economy. And so I'm all for creating more jobs. And as a small business owner, having several licenses in insurance, real estate, and taxes, I understand the needs in our small business sector. And I pledge to support small businesses so that we empower the small businesses and allow them to grow and continue to prosper in Southern California and especially in our 74th district. Small businesses are definitely the fuel to our economy, and we need to make sure that as politicians, as legislators in the state of California, we have representatives that are representing the small business sector, and that's what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curry.
Well, the first thing we have to do is make sure that we don't spend our infrastructure funds unwisely. I oppose the high-speed rail project, contrary to the cartoon mailings of my opponent, because I was the financial advisor for that project 15 years ago, and I know that you can't build it for the money that's allocated. We'd end up with $650 million of annual debt service, and we'd be $55 billion short. That number doesn't work. I said then we needed a dedicated funding source to build it, and we still do. And we shouldn't build it now because it's not affordable in today's budget. We should take that money that we would use for debt service instead and put it on our number one priority, which is bringing water to Southern California and reviving our agricultural industry once again. The other thing is, I know that I've been around perhaps longer than my young opponents, and I know you can't have infrastructure without paying for it. My opponent in another cartoon mailer hit me this week because I voted for a $14 fee that's paying for $1.4 billion of infrastructure for our sewer system, including odor control in Huntington Beach, Costa Mesa, and $110 million in Newport Beach. Those are the investments we have to make sure that when we flush the toilet, your job is done.
Thank you. And one last time, the focus of this question is on infrastructure. What would you champion for the state, and how would you achieve success? Mr. Petrascu.
The first thing we have to do is to reform the California Environmental Quality Act. This is very important. Carl's Jr. will not build a new restaurant in California because it takes up to a year just to get approval. In Texas, it takes them 3 months from the time they apply to the time they can open their doors. We have to be competitive. Secondly, when it comes to infrastructure, we have to reform this CEQA in order to be able to build updating our infrastructure, build our roads, build our bridges. We can't spend enough money to build a new bridge if it's going to take 10 years just for it to be approved. We have to reform CEQA. Secondly, we have to update our water infrastructure. We are living dangerously. If we have an earthquake in the Delta, one of the dirt levees that's over 100 years old could easily fail, bringing seawater into saltwater into the Delta and cutting off water for our agriculture and also for Orange County for years. We need to make sure we have a safe and reliable source of water. Thank you.
Thank you. This is our last question. So often we send our legislative candidates up to Sacramento and say, go, charge, do. So we're going to take a bit of a twist on this question. Name one state law or regulation that you'd repeal to benefit this district and why. And we'll start with Ms. Ali.
Now, I'm going to have to think about that. There are many that I would like to repeal, but there's one that I would like to reform, and that one is Prop 13. I think the burden is on the homeowners. 70% of the burden is on residential homeowners, a lot of them being seniors. We need to look at Prop 13 again. It was written in 1976, and we have to take a visit again. I think that that is an issue that we need to talk about, even if it means we lose some political leverage. But it is something that we need to talk about and make sure that the corporations pay their fair taxes. The burden should not be on seniors. The burden should not be just on the residential homeowners, but it should be fair, and the corporations need to take the bulk of it. So that's something that I think, if I'm in Sacramento, I will be pushing for. Fairness of it.
Thank you. Just as a reminder, the focus of this question is to name one state law or regulation that you would repeal to benefit this district and why. And now we'll hear from Ms. Onofre.
Thank you. And it is definitely Proposition 13. I believe that everything should stay as is because it allows for the taxes to stay even. And what we need to focus on is job creation in this district. Again, education is very important, and I'm all for education and achieving either a vocational education or a bachelor's degree or master's or higher, because it actually empowers the individual to succeed in life and to prosper, and not only the individual, but the family and the community as a whole. But I would look at Proposition 13 and make sure that we look at it again so that we can benefit the district that we are in and benefit homeowners primarily, because that's the most important. But job creation is what I propose, and that is the reason why I believe that the idea of bringing the Clippers of LA to Orange County is going to really stimulate our economy here in Southern California and enhance our quality of life as residents of the 74th Assembly District.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Mr. Curry.
Well, Kate, I've already announced that the first law that I'm going to introduce in Sacramento is to repeal the authorization to sell the Orange County Fairgrounds in Costa Mesa. That was a bad law. It was bungled in its attempted execution. It should be taken off the books. But there's so many more that ought to be repealed in California. Let's start with the Proposition 30 tax increases. We need to let the income tax and the sales tax increase roll off the books. Those are the highest taxes in the country. We need to let cap and trade roll off the books. It's now given us the highest energy cost in the country, and it's going to increase our gasoline cost as it phases in further. These are the things that are driving businesses away. As I visited with businesses, they all talk about the same thing. The high cost of doing business here, the high taxes, the high regulation. That's why people are moving to Texas. And we've got to stop that by repealing the Prop 30 increases and some of the cap and trade increases that are being passed on to consumers in the form of hidden taxes. That will make California a competitive state again and let us grow and create jobs.
Thank you. And for the benefit of our viewers and candidates, Let me repeat the question. Name one state law or regulation that you'd repeal to benefit this district and why. The answer is yours, Mr. Petrascu.
I'm not going to limit myself to just one. As I already mentioned, we have to reform CEQA. It will jumpstart our economy and allow us to rebuild our infrastructure. We also have to repeal realignment. Realignment has allowed criminals to come back into our neighborhoods, has created a rising crime rate. We have to stop it. Too many people have already been released early, have come back and have recommitted and have committed heinous crimes. We have to repeal realignment. And then we have to lower taxes. There are so many taxes in this state that we could repeal, starting with Prop 30 and the tax increases that were just passed. We have to let those expire. We have to lower energy taxes. We have to repeal AB 32, which is going to drive the price of gas in the next 2 years to over $6 a gallon. We cannot afford it. Businesses cannot afford it. There are so many laws we can repeal. I could go on forever. So thank you.
And our final answer will come from Mr. Harper.
Well, thank you, Sarah, so very much. But I have to actually point out something, and that's in two previous candidates' forums, Anil Ali had actually said that she was against the split roll for property taxes, and now she's for it. Not only that, but I'm very concerned, but the flip-flop means that both of the Democrats are showing that there really is an assault on Proposition 13 that's coming here in the state of California, and we're going to have to defend it now more than ever. But I'll tell you what, when you say that the law that I'd most like to see repealed, that's Governor Schwarzenegger's worst idea ever, and that's the Global Warming Solutions Acts, and that's AB 32 combined with SB 375 are the worst things that have ever come down the pike here in the state of California in terms of our economy and in terms of our jobs. It's going to be a train wreck, even worse than high-speed rail, for trying to be able to get things done here in the state of California. We need to stop it right now.
Thank you all very much for your responses. We will now move to closing statements. Each candidate will have 1 minute, and we'll begin with Ms. Onofre.
Thank you all very much for the opportunity to discuss what really matters, you, the voters. There's too much talk in this campaign about political parties, about my party choice as a Democrat, but if I were to pick who best embodies my ideas, it is President John F. Kennedy. The real JFK was a fiscal conservative. As your state assemblywoman, I will work to restrain state spending. I will emphasize corporate tax cuts, which can pay for themselves by the revenue generated with new jobs, new companies, and new prosperity for California. The real JFK was the youngest elected president, and I, Karina Onofre, will bring youth, enthusiasm, innovation, new ideas, and energy to work for you. The real JFK wanted a man on the moon, not to spend money on wasteful government programs, but to show who was first. I want California to be first. First in education, first in job creation, and first in growth and opportunity and prosperity for all. Vote Karina Onofre for State Assembly on June 3rd. Thank you.
And now, Mr. Curry.
Thank you. You know, I came of age in the time of Ronald Reagan and George Deukmejian, Republican leaders who could work across the aisle to solve problems and who made California better. That's the kind of leader I want to be and the person that I'm patterning my campaign after. I'm so proud in this election, as we've talked about the issues and as I visited businesses, to see how we can tangibly help our local economy by reducing regulation, cutting taxes, and making this a more business-friendly place for businesses to create jobs, and how we can improve our education for the next generation of Californians who have to support this economy and who will make our state golden again. I am so proud to be endorsed by people like former Governor George Deukmejian, Senators Tom Harmon and Marion Bergeson, Mayor Stephen Choi, Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, and the mayors of Newport Beach, Laguna Woods, and Laguna Beach. With your help, we'll go to Sacramento, we'll work across the aisle, we'll make the changes that California has to have. It's time to send adults to Sacramento, and it's time to get serious about solving the problems facing our state. Thank you very much.
Our next statement will come from Mr. Petrascu.
Thank you all so very much. I'm running for State Assembly because I want to make sure that my son has the same opportunity I did when I came here to the United States. For that, I'm going to fight to lower taxes. I'm going to fight and continue to fight to save our beach bonfires. Stop boondoggles like high-speed rail. I will fight to make sure that we have safe neighborhoods. That's why I've been endorsed by the Orange County Coalition of Police and Sheriffs. That's why I've been endorsed by the Orange County Deputy Sheriffs, because I will fight to make sure our neighborhoods are safe. I have both the private sector experience, having started multiple small businesses, and also the public sector experience, having worked in the legislature, having written bills, and having made sure that we have a better future. I ask for your support. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Mr. Harper.
Are you tired of politicians and candidates that break their promises, break their pledges, and leave you wondering why you voted for them in the first place? Well, my name is Matthew Harper. I'm the mayor of the city of Huntington Beach. I've made very clear about what I stand for, what I intend to do, and my record reflects that. I have a record for 16 years that I'm very proud of, in which I've honored the taxpayer. I've defended the taxpayer and fought on behalf of the taxpayer each and every time. If you want someone who will not only say they won't raise or increase taxes, but also has a record of that, I am your candidate. If you want someone who's shown that they care about education and served on the school board for 12 years, I am that candidate. Please mark your ballot for Matthew Harper, mayor of the city of Huntington Beach, to represent you in the California State Assembly. I am a candidate that you will be proud of to represent you, and I very much ask not only for your vote, but that of your family and your friends. Again, Matthew Harper for State Assembly, Huntington Beach Mayor. Have a great day.
Thank you. And our final statement will come from Ms. Ali.
Our district is extraordinary, with diversity unmatched by any other state. We are a job center with the finest educational institutions, beautiful coastlines, and excellent businesses. As your representative, I will be an advocate for children, working families, and seniors, working on issues like education, public safety, and economic development. I've been talking to people in my district. I visited all of the cities. And here's what you've told me. And thank you for educating me on issues. I may have changed my mind on certain things, but it's because of you. You want tax dollars to come back to improve services, infrastructure, support water, preservation of the coastlines, enhance public safety, and fund education. I hear that. You want elected officials to serve you, not special interests. And you, the young people, want me to advocate for you, get you jobs, and actually speak up for you and reduce the debt that you're buried under. And I'm going to do all of that. Yes, seniors want me to look at Prop 13 again, and I will make sure that I protect their Social Security. I share your priorities. Thank you.
We've come to the end of the program. We'd like to thank Karina Onofre, Keith Curry, Emmanuel Petrascu, Matthew Harper, and Anila Ali for taking time from their busy campaigns to join us for this edition of the Cox 3 Candidates Forum. This episode, as well as the rest in this series, will be available on Cox On Demand, channel 2636, and on the Cox 3 website at cox3.com. Thank you for joining us. For Cox 3, I'm Kate Klimo. Please be sure to vote on June 3rd.